solve large, intractable problems.
It's a new venture altogether.
Your brain is a wild horse there.
Because remember, writing is not a team sport.
You are not selling horse carriages when there are cars.
I want to be known only as the trusted advisor.
More like a tourist.
Play to Potential podcast.
I mean, we are a product of the decisions which we make. There are a lot of people, all your college friends or schoolmates, you all sit together. Why some are successful, some are not successful. Some are just still, working very hard for that success. On surface, it looks like some people got it easy. Correct. Some people got it, never got it. But I think, at every point in life, you will have choices. The choices which you make or the decisions which you take will shape who you are and then what you do. So I strongly believe in you are a reflection of the work which you do. And then the work which you do is a reflection of your own self.
Welcome to the second conversation in 2018 at the Play to Potential podcast, a series of candid conversations with accomplished individuals across various fields on three broad themes: leadership, transitions, and careers. I'm your host Deepak Jayaraman. I'm an executive coach and I work with leaders and organizations and help them play to their potential by engaging with them during periods of high-stakes transition, whether it's personal or organizational. You could visit transitioninsight.com for more details. If you're new to the podcast and want to get a sense of the nature of the content that's covered, you might want to go to YouTube and type Play to Potential Highlights from 2017. I've tried to capture the key takeaways from our various conversations last year with leaders across disciplines, from people such as Zia Modi, Nandan Nilekani, Vishwanathan Anand, Vijay Amrutraj, Avnish Bajaj, Vinita Bali, and the like. My guest this time is KV Sridhar, fondly known as Pops in the industry. Pops talks about his humble beginnings as a billboard painter to his journey to becoming a widely respected creative leader in the Indian ad world. He spoke candidly about his childhood, how he showed signs of dyslexia that got diagnosed later, and how he got into the world of advertising when there were more commercially attractive opportunities in front of him at that time. I really enjoyed the segment where he talks about having 3 job offers in hand, but taking a break and finding his voice in Goa by reading and painting for 6 months in seclusion. He also spoke about what it takes to succeed in the advertising industry and how he has thought about staying relevant in his journey. Just a quick note on how you could access the content at playtopotential.com. You could listen to the full conversation or a particular nugget. If you're more interested in multiple perspectives that are curated by key themes, you could visit the curated playlists in the website. Without further ado, over to the conversation with Pops. Pops, thank you so much for your time. Excited to be talking to you.
Thank you.
And congrats on the launch of the new book. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, but I'm excited about the new venture you've started, Hypercollective. So tell us a little bit about Hypercollective, but more importantly, what lies behind you setting this up?
I think there are 2 things. One is advertising and communication ecosystem has not changed for many years as the industry is progressing. Now digital technology has come in and marketers have far more choice, far more tools now. People are changing. So they are also adopting newer technology. So how do you become relevant to this new audience? Advertising agencies were not doing it. So I thought, a technology company will help me.
Okay.
So I joined a technology company, learned everything. It was almost like a break and then going to a university for me.
That's the Sapient experience.
That's the Sapient experience. And then I came back and I realized that no individual company can ever cater to the entire landscape. So you need specialists. you need to collaborate with many people. So gone are the days where companies are started by individuals.
Right.
Now you see 3-4 people coming together.
Right.
And then starting. So that collaborative nature of bringing all the expertise together and also build certain kind of agility where we can change and where we can bring in the latest cutting edge technology to our clients, within no time. So that was the background with which so I scanned many companies.
Right.
And finally, we zeroed in on 28 companies.
Okay.
And then we have another 40 affiliates and close to 60-70 individual consultants in the platform. So we use all of them to really deliver the results to the clients.
Very interesting. And across these 28 or 60, depending on how you cut it, are there themes in terms of types of companies? In the sense, classic marketing, digital, how do you segment them?
Yeah, one we have segmented everything into 4 buckets.
Okay.
The first is strategy.
Okay.
So you have business strategy, you have creative strategy, you have brand strategy, and then you have got experience strategy, and then you have got performance strategy, you have got e-commerce strategy.
Okay.
So all the strategies are in one bucket. So we believe that there can't be hundreds of strategies. There is only one strategy called business strategy,
Sure.
and everything must flow out of that. So
Sure.
we have some companies and some individuals actually helping us in the strategic part of it, which is where most of our work, 80-90% of the work we have been doing last 6-8 months,
Sure.
which was all strategy, developing strategies for them. The second is the creative bucket.
Okay.
The creative bucket is not just television commercials, but going on to the YouTube, social, and gaming, mixed reality, AR, VR,
Wow.
bringing all the things together, 360. So a lot of things which we are doing, which are all very, very creative in nature. Even doing phygital experiences, you need to have the ability to tell the same consistent brand story and then create the experiences which evoke the same kind of response
Sure.
which you seek. So that's the second bucket, which is where all the creative actually sits in. The third is the technology. While we leave it to a lot of clients to do their own back-end technology, if they don't have, then we have a couple of people in our group, who can actually come in and build the entire platforms, integrate all the data, and then make sure that all the things have been in place. Then we do all the front-end work. We have a lot of experienced designers, who come in with a lot of UI, UX experience in that. And then we do, as I said, a lot of innovation, whether it involves technology or physical, both physical and technological.
Sure.
And then stitching of, very complex VR films into a storyline. So a lot of, technology-driven experiences which we create, whether it is web or otherwise or on mobile. So that sits into the technology bucket. We don't do back-end technology. We do front-end technology.
Right.
And then back-end, if clients want us to orchestrate, then we bring in those specialists. Then the last part is data and analytics. Data, usually, there are 2 kinds of data. There visible data, which is all your social media data,
Sure.
And invisible data, your journeys, your paths, how, what was really happening when you bought one piece, how did you end up buying the second one? Have you ended up buying the second one? So tracking the consumer journeys, tracking the behavior of people, trying and understand what they are doing. And then we have a lot of partners, who do a lot of predictive analysis for you, where you can use the data to really predict and also the consumer intelligence to predict which platforms will deliver most or which length and which topics you can really pick and take it forward. So that's a model, we bring in the entirety of strategic thinking, creativity, marketing technology, and data and analytics and performance so that we take ownership from end to end.
Fascinating. And this is through a combination of, in-house resources and a network of affiliates
Yeah,
to drive the value.
In-house resources are far more like orchestrators,
Understood.
people who are there in the content technology.
Understood.
So they deal with the client and also with
And they
them
connect the dots across these buckets.
across this. And then we also have a very large muscle of creative,
Got it.
which is what was lacking in all the verticals. So we bring in that ability, creative ability.
Very, very interesting. Again, I'd love to pick up on some of these themes around the developments in the marketing field in a few minutes. But on your journey, Pops, rewinding the clock, one of the themes I'm curious about in my conversations with leaders is 3-4 formative experiences in the childhood, which actually sets them up for the journey. So if you rewind the clock in your journey, in your, let's say, first 15, 18, 20 years, are there those 3 or 4 things which have really helped you come this far, if you rewind back?
Yeah, I mean, you always have in your childhood, there's some things which boost your confidence, some things which actually destroys your confidence.
Right.
I think that vulnerability is what makes life far more exciting, without me knowing, those days there's no way of knowing, but I was dyslexic, now retrospective, now you realize they always used to have problems with spellings, which are misspelled, and jumbling of words. When you read, you can't read a sentence properly, you read up and down, so it makes no sense. So ability to understand unless, orally somebody is teaching you. So reading from books, it became little difficult when I was, as a kid, it was far more profound that time. So there is no way of knowing, everybody knows that, I'm good, but I don't get marks. Somewhere my journey into drawing and then painting made my parents and everybody think that, I'm not interested in studying, and I'm far more interested in painting, which is blessing in disguise for me, because I took up painting and then drawing very seriously from a very young age. So that's a positive fallout of where you think that you lacked confidence because you didn't know those days clinically something wrong with you. So you only think that you are not good enough. Rather than chasing what you are not good enough, chase what you are good. Without knowing, it's an instinct which comes to you and then says that I enjoy this more because there are no spellings, nobody is judging you, and then nobody is actually saying. And also my ability to get 100 out of 100 in drawing. And adding to all this, my father was a central government employee. And so we had an option of taking the third language or a second language, which is drawing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, because of linguistic things, which come in the way from one part of the country to another part of the country. Apart from English, the second language is always Hindi. Then the third language is the local language. So I took the option of second language missing. So I can speak fluently and understand Hindi, but I can't write Hindi. I can't read and write Hindi. So these are the things, which actually make you shift. Yeah.
Very interesting. And specifically, since you mentioned dyslexia, Pops, for parents with kids specifically with dyslexia, any insights on what they could do to ensure their kids play to their potential? What are the watch-outs?
Yeah, I think my daughter is dyslexic. And then because of my suffering and then knowledge of what dyslexic children go through, I could spot in her much earlier than the school did. Then I chased the school to actually get her tested, which has not happened. And then she was getting lower grades. And then I went and then got on my own studies with doctors and dyslexic therapists, all the required certificates, and then produced it to the school. School refused. It took them 4 years to really recognize that she is dyslexic. And they didn't have a teacher who can actually teach a dyslexic kid. As per as government of Maharashtra rules, you can even get a writer for you if you're dyslexic. So instead, the school really pressurized my daughter quite a lot, and that took a toll on her. So at the same time, the Tara Zameen Pe, the Tari Zameen Pe was. So I went and told Prasoon, who was writing that film, that this looks like my story.
Wow.
Because what I have gone through, and my wife was also not keeping well that time. So actually, I had spent hours and days with Sion Hospital to really get her clinically tested, and then got her certificates so that she will get the exemptions and little more time and 5 grace marks and whatever she was entitled to. And then there were not many teachers. There were a couple of them, I was not very happy with. So I myself had to go through the training as a parent for teaching my daughter. Then I learned all the tricks, when they are actually reading it, you have to cover the book, only one sentence per time.
How do you make it easier for them to observe?
Easier for them to, so that they don't jumble the words, and then they get used to it. It took me 25 years to overcome. And then, I could make within 24 months, my daughter overcome that problem. I think in India still, we are not sensitive to children, and a lot of inabilities, which they have, we don't recognize them.
So, just Pops, going back to your journey, and I'm curious about how people make career choices, and specifically at inflection points where there's a fork in the road, where there are different paths in varying directions. I was curious about, during one of our earlier conversations, you spoke about your first transition where you had to choose between becoming a medical rep, which in those days I understand was a reasonably lucrative profession, and being a drawing teacher at Kendriya Vidyalaya, and commercial art being the third fork. So how did you make sense of these seemingly divergent roads, and how did you pick which road to walk on?
So while there is certain rational thinking towards that, because I've always been caught up with very emotional and rational, both because of being a science graduate.
Right.
It makes you reason things, and being an artist, it makes you think everything in an emotional way. Retrospective, you can fit in a lot of, rational reasons why. But like Swami Vivekananda said, if there were to be ever a conflict between your heart and mind, go by your heart. Correct? I think that was the conflict, The mind says that you get paid well, in a medical rep. You have the competency in that, you understand. Make the money there and then use it for your painting. The second one is being a drawing teacher, which gives you enormous amounts of time to do what you want to do. But you will end up not having money. Art scene was not as good as it is today. Those days, nothing. It was like cricket, test match or else you are out.
Correct.
You are a disaster. Today, IPL is there, and it takes another 100, 150 people. So there are far more choices which are available. Those days it was not available. So it was very difficult to really choose the subject, of doing drawing in the school and not getting paid. And even if you have 3 months holiday every year, what are you going to do with that time when you don't have money?
Right.
The third one, which is far more pragmatic, it said that, okay, let me stay in what I like, which is painting. And then this is also a form of art. So I can perceive. So there is art, and then there is a bit of science in understanding. So I can use both the skills. So I ended up being in advertising, which offered both the skills.
Very interesting. So again, maybe just trying to codify that, and if somebody early in their career, let's say early 20s, just walks up and says, how should I think about what next? What's the rough I guess you spoke about it a little bit in terms of the Swami Vivekananda metaphor. But what's your guidance in terms of just this whole picking direction and even talking about left brain and right brain? What's your sense of how people should think about early career?
I think, Indian parents put too much of pressure on children to excel academically. Not everybody can be first.
Right.
Okay, right? So finally, if we have 3,000 schools are there can only be 3,000 kids who can be first. Right. Can't be more than the number of schools. So parents don't realize, they want their children to achieve their best. So a lot of people, especially in IITs, I have seen many kids who come up to IIT because, they have to prove to their parents and then to the world that I am good enough to clear the test of IIT. They come in very reluctantly into IIT, and then after the first year, they drop out. And some of them continue to finish it and then prove to the world that I can be an IIT graduate. And then within a year or two, after they get their placement, they have even proved that they have got a job. They're intelligent enough to do all that and then make their career choice. So there are two things in that, what you have learned, what you really like doing. So what you have learned may not be a waste, but you should always pursue what you really want to do. And my advice is, without knowing those days, education was not as evolved as it is today. I picked two things, where I have capability. My interest lies in painting, which also I have studied academically. And then my training and my background is also science. So I said, when you take art and science together, you will have a career which you will not regret, because both you like, both are part of you. So if you are a mechanical engineer and then you like photography, there is nothing on earth which stops you in using your mechanical engineering talent and also your knowledge into building drones which can take aerial photography. There are 3 kids who are doing not just aerial photography as in still or movie, they are doing aerial photography for VR. So there are 3 IIT kids. So they are doing that. Another 3 IIT kids who are actually building the first battery intelligent scooter which runs on your Android phone. So a lot of things, where your interest lies, what your academical qualifications are, you can match. For instance, you may like cricket and then you ended up being an MBBS doctor. So 20 years back, it's end of life. Today, you can be a physio to cricket teams.
True. There's an opportunity, the intersection of passion and capability.
Absolutely. You can be a surgeon who can actually perform a quicker surgery and then give them a relief so that they're back on their court much, much faster. So there are combinations of things which you can use today, which actually allows you to live your passion and also use your knowledge and skill to really, ignite your passion.
Got it.
Just a quick pause here. The point Pops makes about being pragmatic reminds me of my conversation with Amish Tripathi.
It was a pragmatic decision. Look, I come from a middle class family, okay? So I always joke कि भाई मेरे पास बाप दादा का आशीर्वाद है, जायदाद कुछ नहीं है. So I have to be pragmatic and practical in my career decisions. I have responsibilities. I'm blessed with a child. I have a wife. So I resigned only after my second book, when my royalty check became greater than my salary check.
For me, the real question is not, should I follow the heart or my mind? The real question often is, how do I play my cards carefully? And how do I make my choices carefully? So that I'm pragmatic and walk a tightrope which addresses the matters of the heart and mind in a meaningful way. No easy answers, but the people who have built good careers, I notice, have often walked that tightrope well during those pivotal moments. Just a quick note on how the content is organized in the podcast. You could access each of the journeys and either listen to the full conversation or a particular nugget at playtopotential.com. If you want to access specific themes around leadership or transitions, you could visit the curated playlists section at the website. The playlists have insights on a particular topic from a range of people. If you find this conversation purposeful, do take a moment and leave a review on iTunes. Now, back to the chat with Pops.
And just moving along in the journey, Pops, you subsequently talk about coming to Mumbai around 83 to find a creative job in an ad agency, and then you talk about getting 3 offers at that stage, but really going to Goa for a break instead of picking any of those offers. Again, I found that extremely intriguing. So tell us a little bit more about what's behind that and what's the reflection from that.
See, the reasoning was, I came to advertising to really learn.
Mm-hmm.
So advertising used to be in compartmentalized, it used to work in a compartmentalized way. Somebody gives a brief and somebody writes the copy lines, clever lines, and somebody visualizes it and somebody artworks it, and then it goes. And then there is no little interaction between any two of these departments. So I was really frustrated, that, I don't want to be in that chain without even knowing, like modern times, the guy the Charlie Chaplin only on the assembly line doing it, he does not know what happens before and what happens later. So I never wanted to be like that. So I broke away I had to fight with the company saying that, while I was doing well in creative, I wanted to be on the business side also to really learn. So once I came to the business side of the business, I've learned quite a lot of problem-solving ability of an agency, and then how creatively you can solve the problems for marketers. So it was all very good. Then we started, me and a couple of friends, we started our own agency. Then suddenly I found myself chasing money. So I said, this is not the reason why correct. Once you come here, of course, money is important, but that's not the only thing. You need to really understand and you need to learn instead of learning at the young age of 25, 26, and then you really feel that you are making far more money. You can't even imagine the amount of money we were making. Then I took a shift. Then I said, okay, if I'm in Hyderabad, this is my reputation. People want me to make money for them because I can be servicing guy, I can be creative guy, I can set up an office for them and then bring in people. Then I came to Bombay with the vulnerability of saying that will I find a job in creative? Because
so that was something that you deliberately wanted to push yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very interesting.
So I have come to servicing, only to understand, to learn the assembly line. Not that, I wanted to leave the creative part of the business.
Interesting.
So I came to Bombay and I met 2 agencies pretending to be a creative guy. And third agency I went pretending to be a business guy wearing a tie, because that's what we used to do. So I got job in all 3. Then my vulnerability has gone. I said, this is piece of cake. You can find a job, wherever you want. These are the big agencies. So I said, let me take a break before I join any agency, because you will never get a break to do things. So I went to Goa, which is the obvious destination sitting at Bombay. So I went to Goa to take 10-15 days off. That's what I've told everyone, that 10 days I'll come back and then
And the objective for the break being?
Objective of the break being that you have been doing certain thing.
Right.
And then you have come back to Bombay and then everybody is welcoming you and then giving you a job. So job insecurity is not there. You can find a job anytime. You have got the confidence. Now said, let me think and then let me learn, because learning faded in the past couple of years. And I said, let me learn, let me enjoy life and then go back fresh. So I wanted to refresh, reboot myself to the new job. So I went to Goa. I lived in a those days, the only 4-star hotel, Goa International at Panjim, which was charging some $500 a day. Then I went on a little tour on a bike. Then at Baga Beach, I really found that this is advertising curiosity. There is a board which says villa for hire.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and asked them, how much you want. They said 500 rupees a month, too expensive for you. You look like a little boy. What will you do with this? I said, no, I want it. And then I gave him money there and then because I made a lot of money. So I made them 3 months advance and then said that 3 months I am taking it. So 3 months became 6 months.
Wow.
But I took the bungalow, and which was on the beach.
This was just you by yourself?
All me by myself. Then I came back to Bombay. And then I went to Strand bookstore. And then I bought lots of books. Then I went to Himalaya and then bought a lot of art material. So now where to put all this? My hotel reception. The guy was scribbling every day, you're bringing so many stuff, so many boxes I can't put anywhere.
Right.
Then with the help of the hotel, I went and hired a truck at Dhobi Talab. It was a Matador,
right,
with a back. So I had put all my stuff there. And then I said, chalo, Goa chalte hain.
Oh, you drove down from Bombay to Goa with all this stuff? Huh?
All the stuff, sitting next to that truck driver.
Fascinating. And
then, we left somewhere in the evening, and then we reached the next day afternoon. The truck couldn't, they say, it couldn't even take all the ghat sections of Pondi and all.
But how do you justify something like this, let's say, with your parents or the community? Was that an issue at all?
It was an issue. And first my mother was very scared that what I was doing is wrong. That I am, one, blowing up all the money, second, not taking a job and those days, taking breaks and holidays was never. But one thing my father always believed, saying that he always found a job. So why are you worried? He'll find a job. So they never knew that I'm going to stay for a very long time. So almost 3 months, which became 6 months. 6 months I lived there without a newspaper, radio. There was no television anyway. And any news from outside. I was secluded completely. I cut myself off from the world. Only world I have is reading and painting. These are the only two things. So I gave Kalangut Post Office, Post Restaurant, the number. So my father used to drop a card. I used to go and then collect it. And then drop another card saying that I am fine, not to worry.
Fascinating. It's a great story, Pops. And I guess in a lot of ways, in the world we live in today, there's just so much noise around us that probably the need to go and listen to ourselves is much harder. And therefore, it's probably a lot more important today than it was maybe around the time you did it.
Yeah, probably, that's one of the few times. Not only a few times, that's the only time actually in my entire life I had such so much of time to really read what I want to read. Somehow I've always been fond of reading, So that's how you make friends. So each author is such a great friend of mine, That's how I feel. Because in my head, it's a two-way interaction. As far as the book is concerned, it might just be a one-way communication. But in your head, because you're talking back, you're questioning, and then you're realizing many things. Whether you are Socrates to Thomas Mann to anyone, the kind of serious books which you used to read, because you have the mind space to really read. Today sitting in a car, can you just open and then read in Herman Hesse? You can. On a flight, can you actually read any of those books? You can't. You need to be at ease with yourself, and then you need to have that time and space in your head to really question and then answer yourself, or find answers in the future chapters. And then be satisfied. It's a very different feeling which you can't explain. And second thing is, taking a bike without any destination in mind. So each day you take the bike and then you go in whatever destination you want to. As the bike says, there is no GPS. And there is only a map. And only way you need to know is humanity. Somebody comes and then says something, then you ask for a direction and then you head back. While going, you don't even need anything. And then you find a nice spot, you park your vehicle, and then you sit there and then you do landscapes. I've never done landscapes before. Even in college, I used to do it as a subject, as something which you need to do because of the academical reasons. But all my teachers, some of them were really very good landscape artists. So that is a phase, when I did lots of landscape work. Apart from people, has always been my fascination. So I've done a lot of people work, chasing all the markets and fishermen, going on their boats and then trying and getting things. All that you will never get again, because I feel that till you are 10, 11 in your life, you live a selfless life. And all your friends are also selfless. They don't know that tomorrow you are going to be successful. They don't even know how much your father is worth. They just make friendship. So there is certain innocence in that world. And as you grow up, everything you personalize. This guy will be useful. This book will be useful. This thought will be useful. This experience might be useful.
Right.
So you collect a lot of things, with a selfish motive. So again, going back to that state of mind of selflessness, because you have no job, you have nothing else. That learning is a pure learning, because you're not learning that to apply into something else. So I think, to me, that was the most liberating thing, to live like a child again at the age of, 26.
Very interesting.
Is something, which I cherish quite a lot.
Very, very interesting. And how did you bring this to an end? When did you think, you said 6 months, but how did you draw that line?
I figured out to live my entire life like that. I went to flea markets to sell my paintings, and then I made some money. So that worked. So I went to Goa tourism and then showed some of the landscape. They said, very good. You discover a new spot, we'll pay you, we'll buy you some. So I said, yeah, this is another way of making money. Wherever you go into the world, there'll be a market where you can, flea market, where you can go and then sell on a Saturday or a Sunday. And wherever you go, there'll be a tourism board, which will be interested in the local thing. Third, I figured out, I went back to that Goa International one. They said, we have got enough, but you must catch that there is a new hotel which is coming up. Maybe they might need landscapes. So I figured out how to live, probably give, there was a lot of temptation to live like a vagabond, not just in Goa, but across the world. You go to any place in the world.
You'd figured a model which was replicable in any geography.
It can be replicable, so there is no fear. You can go anywhere without money, and then you can make money. So two things, when I did all the landscapes, and suddenly, in one of the letters, my mother said that, you're doing landscapes, your teacher will be very happy. And then he was a great landscape artist, everybody knows him. So why don't you come and then show that to him? Then I went back to Hyderabad. When I went to Hyderabad, of course, everybody liked the work, and I exhibited in Hyderabad. Then went to Bangalore, I exhibited work in Bangalore. So that's how it came to an end, because, the culmination of all that was the work which I did, not the knowledge I got, but the work which I did ended up being exhibited in many forums. So that's how it has ended. And then Ulka, as an agency, so they started chasing me to start a branch in Hyderabad. So my fate has always been that in Hyderabad, my reputation has been like a horse trader, the guy who can actually, set up everything, do stuff. So that's how I did come back,
Got it. And very interesting. Again, clearly you've had a very successful stint in Ulka, Leo Burnett and Lentas. Then after a long career in advertising, long successful career, you moved to join a tech company, Sapient. So again, I'm curious about that fork in the road. How did that come about and how did you process the opportunity when it happened?
So before joining Sapient for almost 7 years, from 2008 Olympics time, I was part of Leo Burnett Global Creative Board. So we were, driving the creativity, driving the entire company into newer directions. And so one of the jobs which we have accepted and then volunteered to do in the region for me, right from Japan to Australia, is to really push newer technology and newer ways of communicating with people. Mm-hmm. Technology was not that much, it was there, but not, that was creating an app was a technology at that time, So I was exploring the newer ways of communication and then trying to inspire the agency to really do things, newer things in the communication field. So then we decided that, you need a digital agency, and then we brought in one brand which is there in Singapore, which is there across the world. More from Singapore point of view, we brought that in to India called ARC. So supposed to be a digital company, but it became an activation agency later. Mm-hmm. Then we had to actually, part of that acquisition team, to really identify a digital company, a small digital agency called Indigo. And then we acquired Indigo. I tried very hard to really leverage both of them, try to marry technology and creativity, which did not happen. Then by the time I understood technology is not just wireframes and information architecture, technology is far more marketing technology which is happening beneath, which advertising agencies are not aware of, which clients and technology companies are doing. Then Sapient came in, I didn't know Sapient very much, I only knew as an they are an outpost of Sapient of US, that's all. Then I spoke to one of my friends in RGA. RGA is world's best creative and digital company. So their chief creative officer, an Australian, is a good friend of mine. We both used to talk about cricket. Cricket bonded us quite a lot at all the international events wherever we go. So I asked him, and he said, Pops, I know you don't leave your food, you don't leave your country. Correct? And then they have made huge investments into India. There are close to 10,000 people in India. They do 60% of the work everywhere. That's a place where you can learn technology and then try and then apply, make a difference to your country. So that's how I took up Sapient to really understand the marketing technology, the way it is, and then how this marketing technology can affect creativity, and then how to tell stories of the brands in this day and age. So that's one rational thing. Irrational thing, again in your head. If you are not relevant to your children, they will reject you. Correct. The same thing if you are not relevant to your consumers, right, they will throw you out. And then finally in marketing and advertising, you're working for those people who buy your products. Right. You need to be relevant to them. You need to learn everything which makes the brand connect with them. So those are the two things, which made me take up Sapient.
This reminds me of the conversation with Atul Kasbekar, the celebrated photographer who spoke about the notion of staying relevant. He was talking about how he coped with the advent of digital phones and reinvented himself as a producer.
You don't want to be the last guy selling horse carriages when, the car dealerships have arrived, kind of thing. So there's no problem. That's technology, innovation, it's a constant, it's going to go on. So I've maintained this from day one, is that your knowledge in photography or your expertise in photography will depend greatly on how much you read and immerse yourself in all the arts. And you're just generally aware, and you're a sponge, and you accumulate and assimilate, and so you should have a keen interest in all the other arts, in fine arts, sculpture, in cuisine, in architecture, in whatever it is that I think that then adds to a broader graphic design, whatever. You need not know how to design something, but you can appreciate good from great.
It was great to hear Atul talk about building a wider appreciation of various fields, apart from being a subject matter expert in your domain. Hope you're finding the conversation purposeful. If so, do take a moment and leave a review on iTunes. For more nuggets from other speakers or across themes, do look up playtopotential.com. Now, back to the chat with Pops.
Now, zooming back from your career, starting as a painter to the business side of advertising to technology to Hypercollective, how should a youngster of today think about a career in advertising, especially on the creative side? What's your thought on how people should process advertising as a profession?
So, we are a product of the decisions which we make. There are a lot of people, all your college friends or schoolmates, you all sit together. Why some are successful, some are not successful. Some are just still, working very hard for that success. On surface, it looks like some people got it easy. Correct. Some people got it, never got it. But I think, at every point in life, you will have choices. The choices which you make or the decisions which you take will shape who you are and then what you do. So I strongly believe in you are a reflection of the work which you do. And then the work which you do is the reflection of your own self.
It's a two-way conversation, as you said.
It's a two-way combination. So a lot of creative people have this urge of expressing themselves, but somehow, that expressing yourself to expressing through somebody else is a difficult task. Like screenwriters, they never be seen, but each dialogue is uttered by really good set of actors. Advertising creativity is also like that. You need to be invisible in many times, and then you need to allow. You need to choose. All the other elements so that your work will shine. So a lot of people don't realize. They come to advertising. They want everything of their own. Correct. They don't want to be invisible. They want to be visible. So therefore, you lose your ability to really, get into any kind of, if you're writing for a managing director for a speech, you write in a tone of voice which belongs to that person. If you are writing a speech for a creative guy, and then the creative guy's tone of voice will be different and his personality is different. What he says, in the same way the brands are also like that. So the youngsters who come in today, must understand that, they should not have a voice of their own. They should adopt to the voices of the brands and then the companies they work for.
It's a very nuanced insight you provide. And just maybe persisting with that, what is the question that the person should ask? Should say, if advertising is a career for me, what are the traits that enable people to be able to do this well?
I think, the example which we spoke about, a lot of IIT graduates, they come to advertising, IIT, IIM, anyway, naturally they come. They take their marketing. So I think one of the questions people should ask is, am I a good storyteller? And can I connect with people? So all of us lie. And each lie is a beautiful story. Correct. And depending on how beautifully you tell that lie, you'll be forgiven And most often, the stories which we create are plausible stories, but not real stories. So that means that you are cooking up, you are lying about life. Life is good when life is not good, but you are lying, life is good. But you must lie in such a convincing way, and you must lie in such a beautiful way, such an innocent way, that people will forgive you. It is like a little kid who goes to the school, 15 minutes late, and then he can't tell his teacher that I got up late, therefore I came in late. He has to actually cook up a story and say that, no, while coming from there to here, something has happened. My father's car got punctured.
It's an opportunity for
I saw a little puppy and then, I really put the puppy to safety. Some story, some accident has happened.
Yeah.
So, obviously people know that, the boy is lying, but they forgive. There is an innocence to that lie, and there is a purpose to that lie. The purpose is to get the pardon, to get into the class.
Right.
So it's the same way advertising storytelling is also the same way. So you are talking about things which does not exist, but make people believe that they exist. And then they know that you are exaggerating a product benefit. But if you do it in a tasteful and beautiful manner, they don't mind forgiving you for that little license which you take to exaggerate. So I think that charm and that ability to tell a story is what makes you as a good advertising person. And I believe at the same time, continuing rational and emotional part of it. To be successful in advertising, you need to understand businesses. What a client business is, and what is his source of income. How can he grow? How is his category growing? How is his competition growing? What are the policies which have been adopted by the government? How those policies are affecting them? So if you understand the business of your client and also understand the human behavior and then the things, the socio-cultural things which are happening, which is shaping the behavior of a generation of people, if you have way to have insights and understanding about these two, you can put them together. So I believe there are a lot of businessmen who understand their businesses much better than you can ever do.
Sure.
And a lot of creative people who understand people better than you do. Javed Akhtar understands people better than you. Politicians understand people better than you. There are a lot of people who understand people much better than you. Your skill lies in bringing these two understandings onto the table and then use them for a mutually beneficial relationship.
Very, very interesting. And just Pops, would love to step back and ask you a few questions on your journey and how you think about some of these themes. One is, how have you thought about success and impact at different points in your journey? And how has that changed and evolved over time?
I think, first part of your career, maybe 30 years of your career out of close to 40 years, success always measured on how well the brand did. And that is where you used to feel very good, success and recall of your ad. You go in and tell somebody that you did this ad, they must recognize. These are the two measures which you always used to see success. When you become older, the success which you see is the impact which you make on humanity. So today, if somebody were to ask me, why don't you retire? So why should I retire? Today I have more power than ever. Because I know media, I know people, I know a lot of business houses. So if you want to do something good, you can do it because you have the wherewithal to really make that happen. So that is the bigger difference. When you are young, you try to measure success in a little selfish way. not selfish way, but your work having an impact on people so that the products are moving, and impact on your client's business, that is moving. These two will have an impact on your own company's business, and then therefore you'll be recognized.
Sure.
Today you don't, you do all that. The biggest thing which you get satisfaction is the impact which you make on humanity. Because at the end of the day, what you have learned is how do you change human behavior. So you understood that trick of changing human behavior. Last 10 years, I've been working with Ladli, which is Initiative of Population First, which is funded by UNFPA. In fact, now I'm a member of their board and trustees, trying to help eradicate the gender bias between boys and girls. The sex ratios are really dropping. And what we did was, first 10 years, we said there is no point in going and then telling the entire world, you advertising media, you guys are stereotyping the girls. Then I said the biggest issue in the world is ignorance. Only if you were to know that you are going to harm somebody beforehand, your actions will be different. You don't know. So a lot of times when you sit in front of a white paper, there is no client who actually says that stereotype a woman and then make her as a housewife, let her bring the tea and then let the father and son decide on the course of life. Nobody really says that. And then you want to communicate that, you can make a difference to their family. That's the only thing which you want to do, whether it is insurance or any product. Then the creative person who's actually staring at a white paper, which is the scariest thing and then the most beautiful thing. Scariest, you don't know where to start and what to put on that. And then the easiest thing is you already have your thoughts. You are scheming in your own head. And then you can write a beautiful story instead of a boy becoming a cricket player to a girl becoming a cricket player. And then go and then tell your client that when have you ever seen a girl playing cricket in a television commercial? So they would buy. So you are making, without knowing or unknowingly, we have made so many mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes which we have made in our country in terms of publicity is when Mrs. Gandhi was there, when the population, explosion, everyone thought that India is going to explode and all Indians are going to attack the world and eat every food grain from their godowns. That was the fear the world had about us. So we had to control our population, because we were a very poor country, could not afford to take the burden of so much of population. So ideal family, the family planning, I don't know whether you remember the graphic, which had a mother, father, a boy and a girl.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, hum do, hamare do, became a norm and it worked, and then people had only two. But during that course of 25 years of journey that communication made, it also created a stereotyping, saying that in an actual family, ideal family is to have a boy and a girl. In a country where nobody wants a girl, even if the first girl were to survive, there is only 70% chance of the first girl surviving at the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, 90% chance. And the same thing, if the second girl, if we were to see best case scenario, 60%, worst case scenario, 40%. So then imagine the impact of that on the society. In future, you will not see as many sisters. Now, instead of having a boy and a girl as sibling playing, if you were to have two girls playing, it changes people's perception. Ideal family is not just boy and a girl, two girls. How beautiful it is to see two girls.
Very interesting.
So there are a lot of things, you cannot, I am no Bill Gates to actually give $150 billion to somebody. But you have the ability to change the perceptions of people by showing consistent imagery and consistent communication. So what we went and then did was, we did lots of workshops, personally going and then talking to a lot of creative people, creative directors, to really tell them, be sensitive, this is what is happening in the world. Each time you put a boy and a girl, you are responsible for somebody's death. Each time you put two boys, you are responsible. Each time you make a girl do homework and a boy play outside cricket, you are responsible. So now if you see, there's a lot of social change which is happening in advertising last 10 years. So that's the impact, People may not know you are invisible, but you know that, what you planted, how it is working. So that impact is what you seek as you become older. That what is that, you have got so much from the industry, you have got so much from the society, what are you giving back? So what are you really doing it? So what you really believe in, you can make a difference. That.
Fascinating. And just through this journey, if you had to reflect on how you've evolved as a leader, as a person, and in a way you started as an artist, clearly you've come up to speed on the commercial elements, you've come up to speed on the technology elements, and of course it's a journey. But how do you, and also maybe picking up on one of the things you mentioned about influencing human behavior, one of the pieces I'm curious as an executive coach is, how do you get a person to develop? What's been your approach to your development, and what's your thought? What's been your experience in helping other people scale up? What's worked?
So I think, from 83, 84 onwards, after coming back 84, from that time to till 90, 93, 94, I was fiercely competitive. Because, somewhere, I always, if you play cricket, you have to be like Gavaskar. You can't be a second fiddle. You have to do your best work. So, come what may, I never used to let anybody interfere in the work which you are doing. Sometimes even clients also, I used to go and then fight with them quite a lot. Write checks for them. If you can't afford, I'll give you money. So I used to go to any length to really do that. Somewhere in 85, 86, is where the life took a turn. As you are also growing, you become a leader. But a leader who's fiercely independent and to compete with everyone is not a great thing. So then I learned, I've read a book, How to Manage Creative Organizations, which talks about Disney, which talks about, Sony Pictures, which talks about, a lot of companies, 3M, to a lot of different kinds of companies, which involved in a lot of innovation and creativity. So one thing which they mention is you need to create an environment for people to get ideas. So how do you really create an environment for people to really get the ideas? Then, it's just stopped with that line in my head. Then I tried to figure out, saying that, why people do their best in workshops, not at work situations. In work situations, what happens, if you have a set of 15 people working on a project for you, each one of them were to think 1 hour, so they can put one idea on paper, while human mind is capable of connecting billions and billions of images. You coordinate maybe 5 to 10 of them, but you only put one on the paper, because you're eliminating the rest by preempting. Client may not like it. My boss may not like it. My boss's boss may not like it. Somebody else, consumer, may not like it. Somebody else may not like it. So there's a lot of inhibitions in that. And people are, preempting all the time in work situation. In a workshop situation, where you are free, after 2 drinks, you can say anything. There is no boss, there is no subordinate. And what happens in brainstorming, the dynamics is, you say something, which may not be the right thing. And then you say, stupid, if you want to do that, you should do it this way. So somebody builds on that, and then somebody builds on that. So at the end of that entire exercise of a workshop, you will come up with 5-6 really great ideas within a day or 2. The same teamwork does not happen in an agency. And then you may not get the nuggets because people are chopping them. They are not building on each other's ideas. So somewhere, as a leader, you said you must create an atmosphere where people are freer. So demolish all the designations. There is only a copywriter, a creative director, and a creative leader, which is an ECD. Demolished all designations. And then money will be paid. A copywriter may get paid more money than a creative director. So hierarchy has taken over, taken completely a backseat. And it said, that's only for functional need. A creative director is a functional need. And then what he does, it is not necessary that he is the best creative guy. He manages creative resources well. He goes and then sells it to the clients with conviction. He puts a great vision about how to bring the idea come alive. His job is different. As a copywriter, if you have certain skills, and then you can. So dealing the compensation from what they do to what they bring into the party. So this, and also an open structure, where people can come, work anytime, go anytime. There's no pressure on people. If somebody were not to do his work, you say, fine, just go home and then take a break. You can't ask somebody to work late for 3 days in a row and then have a fight with his girlfriend and then do his best the next day morning. Can't happen. Yeah, and advertising is a team game. It's not an individual game. So a lot of people even now also play as an individuals. It's a team game. That's the reason why you need so many people. It's not like manufacturing. You put on the button and then today 30 cars I deliver. I make 30 cars only they make. They don't make 31 or 29. Advertising is not like that. Advertising creative people are so insecure. They need to be. Correct. You have no idea next day morning will you get an idea or not. That's the worst feeling. Gone whatever you have done the next day. So how do you make them feel very secure? And then how to really make them feel that if it's okay if you don't do it, somebody else. You need team for that, no? If you fail, as an opener, middle order will come and then bail you out. The same way, when you have a team and then making the team work. So I think teamwork, giving people enough freedom, understanding them little beyond the work, and then their motivations, why they are doing what they are doing. All this will really help in shaping them. So a lot of people have become very, very successful working with me. They also made me very successful. Now, unless they are successful, you cannot be successful. Correct? With 400 people, what can you do? With 12,000 people in Sapient, what can you do? You can't do anything unless they do. So you can only, as a leader, create an environment for them to excel and give them confidence to excel. And each one will find their own formula to excel. I think that's where, to me, it worked.
Very, very interesting. And moving forward, back to your Sapient days, I'm told you would wake up in the morning to learn programming. And that's fascinating to hear somebody with that many years of experience in a certain domain really starting, from ground zero to come up to speed on a different skill. But just using that as an example, what's been your approach to learning through your phases of life? Has there been
insecurities, vulnerability? Because the worst nightmare is to open your mouth and be foolish. And as I said, if you are not relevant to your children, you are not relevant to anyone. So the first thing which you need to learn is what are the technologies which people are adopting. And then you try and then see. And what are the technologies which marketing people are? And what are the instruments? What are the tools? What are the measurement systems which they are using? And then you say that, what are the newer things which are happening? Whether Java 2 is better or Java 1 is better, So what is better? What is that? HTML5 is far better or something else? So evaluation criteria, and then what they do, correct? And what is programming? How does programming work? Whether it is C or C+, is the basics which you learn. So one is you wanted to catch up, because in advertising you might be a guru working for 37 years. Everybody will listen to you. In technology world, I am the highest paid trainee. So when you are the highest paid trainee, the expectations is also very high. Correct? You are going to change a lot of things.
I love that phrase, highest paid trainee. It puts things in perspective.
Yeah, it is. You know nothing. And then you are a trainee. So learning again, with a lot of, Sapient is a wonderful company and wonderful people, whether they are technologists or whether they are scientists, data scientists, or whether they are programmers. I used to take them out, have lunch with them, try and understand what they do, how they do, and what are the new things which are happening. What are the sources through which I can really learn, and I used to wake up in the morning, track all of them, learn something about social topography, how does social campaigns are mounted, how does technology is moving, how does commodities are working, and then what is NASCOM, what do they do, how does things change. So all that, from that vulnerability of I don't know, will I look like a foolish guy making a shift and then falling flat. So you need to do some homework to catch up with them. Otherwise, you are not going to be of any use to the company which has hired you, and then the companies which are going to hire you to solve their problem, which are clients. Correct?
I guess a related question here, Pops, is especially when I see leaders transitioning from one industry to another, or sometimes leaders are hired based on potential, in the sense they may not be experts in the domain, but they are hired because they'll bring a different perspective. What's your take on how people could effectively settle into an organization?
I think it's not as tough as what people think it is. When I was working on TCS, I learned everything about every software which they released. When I was working with the ECAL, in 79-80, I learned everything about the mainframe computers which they are doing. In mid-80s, when Wipro was launching first DTP software, while we were at the agency, I went out of my way to really work with the developers to convert that into a usable platform for DTP publication. So even Premji was so happy, and then he used to tell me that you sit here, I'll give you stock also. You are an indispensable source of this thing for that. So what you always, when confectionery, today DHFL, a lot of financial technology which I am working with, Nestle's all their brands, Unilever all their brands. So if you ask me any brand, any business which I have worked with, you understand their business. So I think any leader, any business leader, if they were to be taken from one, for instance, take Sanjay Bell, was with Unilever, and then he went to Nokia, and then now Raymond, he's transforming. Is he from fashion industry? No. Correct. Is he a fashion designer? No. Does he have experience in fashion industry? No. So you learn a category much quicker. Even in advertising, we learn much more because we work with multiple categories, 15, 20 categories at a time.
Right.
So you understand the category, you understand the environment, you understand, but you need to work hard to really understand. Initially, it will tough.
My question actually was more around building the networks within a new organization. From a skill perspective, I get you. But I guess often a lot of the derailment happens because the current executives in the new organization are looking for opportunities to expel you. So what's been your experience in settling in from that perspective?
So, I mean, this I think, a stupid way, of actually you walk into an organization, you sack half of them. And you tell people that whatever you have been doing till yesterday was all stupid. I'm going to tell you what to do. So it hurts human sentiments. You destroy the culture, you destroy the confidence, and then you make more enemies. Correct. So you go and then give them a chance first, and then say that you guys are wonderful because of you company has come till here, and then gain their confidence, and then plant the newer people who can influence the culture. And then the moment you have those instigations made to really re-engineer a culture of a company, then you start taking little more calls, of bringing in some more newer people. By the time the people whom you have brought in have already become part of the company. So it needs to be a transition which needs to be done in a very delicate way, not in a abrupt way. And the second, that's having said that, if you see the biggest corporate turmoil, last year, both Infosys and Tata, if the founders were to stand firm on values, you gain enormous support from people. Because it's a human values on which, certain values on which the companies have been run all these years. People respect that. And then people respect you for fighting for those values. Whether you are an insider or you are a founder or you are an outsider, standing there and fighting for values, you get a lot of sympathy within the company and outside the company also. If you don't, then you have a problem. Correct. Why Ratan Tata still, people respect him fighting anything for the company is because he has put in the values first, then commerce. And that's far more important. Why so much of pressure on the Infosys current management when Narayan Murthy comes back saying that these are not the principles on which this company has been built. We need transparency. People will believe him. It's his company. That's how he has built. So people should not forget the values with which the companies have been built. If you cannot take, those values forward, then you will have problem. So a lot of people will come in and then want to put in newer values, which is very difficult in an established huge brand. What you can do is imbibe those values and then contemporize them a bit, and then make a little interpretation of that which is relevant to today.
Fine tune that to your style.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then change the style.
In terms of, which is relevant to today's audience.
Very interesting.
Correct.
Very interesting.
This piece from Pops reminds me of my earlier chat with Ravi Venkatesan, who used to head Cummins in India and then Microsoft in India, and now sits on several boards. He talks about the importance of listening from various stakeholders and forming a nuanced view of the situation before you start making your moves.
So from this, you begin to piece together first the situation, and then out of that emerges a theory of change, which is, what interventions are really going to make a difference, and who are going to be the important allies in this. If you don't listen and you come in with a point of view, you start, jumping into action right away, you're going to make a lot of mistakes because you haven't built this nuanced and reasonably accurate picture of the landscape.
If this topic is of interest, you might also like some of the nuggets from my conversation with Nandan Nilekani, a man who's reinvented himself several times over in the last few years. Hope you're finding the conversation purposeful. If so, do take a moment and leave a review on iTunes. For more nuggets from other speakers or across themes, look up playtopotential.com. Now, back to the chat with Pops.
So just moving on and coming to the recently launched book, Pop's 30-second thrillers. I was intrigued by the title and I read it. And it really was fascinating to go back memory lane and really look at these ads, because in a lot of ways, they were an integral part of childhood. Some of these ads like, Nirma and Little and a bunch of other ads. If you really look at the underlying elements behind the success of these ads, what are the 3-4 themes in these ads that stand out, which made them the success that they were?
I think for any advertising to live that long, there has to be some magic in them.
Right.
Okay, right. I think good advertising is like a homeo pill. Okay. While the outer coating is the entertainment, which is sweet and nice, and then the medicine actually is hidden inside. But imagine if you were to have a pill which is the other way. So like the allopathy pills we used to have when we were young, correct? Without any of those coatings, which is so bitter that you want to throw them. So that's the secret, if you see all the popular work, which I have picked up not from advertising agencies' perspective, from people's perspective. So all these ads have got, something which made people connect. Whether it is a little girl who said, I love you, Rasna. Rasna cut became a cult, for children. So that was age of innocence, that, she is very selfish. And instead of giving one glass to the doll, she actually has that also, because on behalf of the doll she has. There are a lot of innocence, which is built, and you go back to your own childhood, or you go back to the observation of your own children or nephews or nieces, and then you empathize with that. So when you look at advertising which stands the test of time, they all have this quality of human nature, corner of eye observation, a greater human truth which is inside. And if you were to say children are innocent, they are simple. That's the life truth. Rasna's truth, the product truth, is it's simple. You just have to mix it with some water and then serve. The product is so simple. It was so simplified. Never any other product had as simple as that, for people. So this is the product truth and this is the life truth. They both are matching 100%. Correct. So you have a great ad which talks about both. It connects with people and also it charms people.
Yeah. Right. Very interesting. And again, reflecting on people, if you've interviewed several ad makers that were behind the making of these advertisements. Again, just maybe reflecting on some common themes. Are there 3 or 4 themes about them which make these people so distinctive in the work they do?
So all of them, as I said, they're all great storytellers. And they have the knack of human observation and then culling out great life insights, and then picking the relevant insight for the relevant brand. Because we live with so much of observation and so many insights in your head, but picking the right one for the right brand is the judgment which you make.
Correct.
That is what makes an ad great. The relevance is very high, it becomes really great. Look at all the Fevicol advertising. Look at the advertising for Pepsi, which Agnello did, or the Nike. So each one of them, have this ability to tell a beautiful story and also understand, which insight to be used at what time for what brand. So that makes them quite different, and all of them are obsessive.
Obsessive about?
About their craft and then their ideas. So once you get an idea and never give that up, you've seen Happy Dent commercial, the length with which they have gone to really make it, or the Thumbs Up commercials which I did. If you were to cheat, not do a bungee jumping, actual bungee jumping, you would have not had that impact. And bungee jumping was not there in India. So you had to actually it would have been easier to go and then shoot in New Zealand, that is where bungee jumping was born. Modern bungee jumping was born with A.J. Hackett. But those days, foreign exchange was a huge problem. Either you have to choose an illegal means of going and then shooting there, or legal means of getting them to India and then shooting it in India. It was more expensive. Got them to India and made them do this. So at the time when once you get an idea to execution is when creative people become extremely obsessive about what they do, and they take pride in the finished product.
And there do you see a clash between commerce and creativity?
There is no, it is to enhance the commerce. The more craft which you put into your work, the multiplier effect will become that much more. You can have lazy ideas, you can spot those ideas, but they make no impact to people. Because the idea is bad, the idea was not brought in to life, as much passion as it should have. And then if you look at all the advertising, every little detail is being taken care. When you see HDFC, which is what I passionately worked for so many years, till I left, every little detail, you will never see a mother serving tea. While the father and little girl are talking about what the girl wants to become, she wants to become an astronaut. They both are talking. You see the wife sitting behind on a table and then working on a computer. It's the father on a Sunday taking care of the child, and then you have the mother who is actually doing her office work on a computer. So this is a progressive one because I have a different agenda. I don't want to stereotype women, and then therefore I find ways to do it. But if you see the brand is consistent, now they can't get out of it. So they become victims of their own image. That's where your passion and then your interest will come. If you were to remove that self-respect in the context of financial independence, there is no brand. And then today, HDFC Life, the more they advertise, the more HDFC Bank does well. And their home loans do well. Not only it impacts that business, it also impacting the businesses of the group. So it is adding back quite a lot. So commerce, it is just that, the more you craft it, the better it is. That Cadbury, that girl, kuch khas hai.
Dancing on the ropes.
Dancing.
The fence.
Correct. It is the greatest liberation. amount of money in the stadium, putting all those and then getting the cricketers and then doing that entire, it was very expensive film. But look at the impact of what had happened. British Airways, it was again one of the most expensive films for internet. But look at the impact which it has made.
Which one is this?
British Airways.
Which
the grandmother and then the air hostesses. So there are a lot of times when you craft something, you need to do it in a way which is convincing. And then the more you do that, the more impact. That's where you make it 10 rupees work like 100. That's where even clients also get the money back. It's only short-sightedness that, chalega, kuch bhi chalega, sasta mein karenge.
And storytelling. What's your approach in building that capability in people? In a lot of ways, storytelling is clearly an important way of building culture in an organization. And some people are born with it, the ability to tell good lies, as you said. But what's been your approach in helping people to become good storytellers? What's your advice to them?
I think it's only, anything can be acquired. There are two things, misconception is I cannot write a story, therefore I'm not creative. I cannot paint, therefore I'm not creative. I can't play guitar, therefore I'm not creative. That is stupidity. Every living being, not just human beings, but there is scientific evidence that every living being finds a solution, a creative alternate to any path. You put, if a line of ants are marching and then you put an obstacle, they figure out a way and then they start, going. So that's creativity, So something which comes up and then they overcome that hurdle by doing something else. But the second part of it is the craftsmanship, while everybody is capable of thinking creative, coming up with creative ideas. Second part is craftsmanship. Craftsmanship is not inborn. Creativity is inborn. Every mind, has got creativity.
And how do you define craftsmanship in your life?
The craftsmanship, if you were to be a poet, you should know how to express that. And you must have a word with this thing, comfortable with words. Play with the words. You need to be a good wordsmith.
The toolkit or the skill set required.
The skill set is different. If you are a painter, you know that, shortcuts. You need to know human anatomy. You need to know something. You need to know something. That you learn by skill. Every child draws a skeleton. Bears skeletal drawing. But we go to art school to really study the skeletal drawing is actually a skeleton. What are the bone structure? How do people say it? How many bones can turn? How much? Correct. What does your hip girdle allow you to? What kind of movements? Correct. What is the shape of that? So you learn the anatomy, and then you this bone structure. Then you put muscle onto that. So you need to know about the muscles because each painting stroke which you do is according to the muscular movement and placement on your bones. Then you learn about skin and then skin tones. Then you put skin onto the muscle and then that's skin tones and the tissue. You learn a lot more details about that. This is a 6-year course is for nothing, for you to go through all this craft and then learn. Then you become a painter where you can actually paint, you understand. If you are painting somebody, you understand how the bones are, how the muscles are, what are the expression, how do you make them express something, the body language, everything becomes, easier. But the idea of somebody sitting on a chair will occur to anyone. But when you can draw, then you become an artist. When you can actually draw a word picture of essay of an imaginary guy sitting on an imaginary chair will become a piece of prose. Then poetry, imagine an imaginary person sitting there and then the feelings about that person and then the thoughts about that person's head will make it, a piece of poetry. Correct. There are a lot of things, if you were to be a guitarist and you look at the man,
Sure.
and then his body language, and then you can just, like how Beatles do their songs, you write a song. So that's all craftsmanship.
Right.
Craftsmanship can be acquired with a lot of hard work and practice. Hours and hours and hours of practice, and days of practice. And that's the reason why creative people get so obsessed with that process of craftsmanship. Ideas are there, inborn with everyone. And then more so with people who do it more often than others. You can play cricket, I can play cricket, but we have never spent 12 hours to 14 hours a day playing cricket in our childhood. If we were to play, probably we would have also become like Tendulkar. He learned the craft. Apart from idea of playing the cricket, we all know the idea of playing the cricket. Correct.
So back to storytelling. So therefore, just to
you need to have the skills. You need to have the skills. And a good story will have a very intriguing beginning, an interesting body, and a twist right at the end. So if you can manage that structure, correct, and then you can tell a story. If it were to be a feature film, you set a premise, you create a conflict, and then you find a resolution. There you have the story. But stories, then you start practicing. That's a craft. And what is the best way of saying? For instance, Dangal, when it has been done, the first script, which Nitesh and team has written are from the girl's perspective. They said that, no, it is not making much of a sense. What can you say? Every girl want to win. Correct. So it is only the father and his obsession and passion is far more important. And girls kept on talking about the father when he was interviewing them. And then they came back and said, whatever we are doing is all wrong. It would be a better story if we were to tell from that Mahavir Singh. So they changed the story from daughter's perspective to a father's perspective, and then wrote the entire story. And that is what made that film.
That's fantastic, Pops. Just in summary, leaders often ask two questions as they go through life. One is where to go, and second is how to grow. First is about the choices you make along the way. Second is about having made those choices, what's the best game you can play. Again, given your journey and given your life experiences, what are the 2-3 themes you want to leave the listeners with for them to play to their potential?
I think that whatever you do, you must enjoy it. And you will only enjoy if you really like it. If you don't like it, don't get stuck in that. Find your love. Find your purpose. At times, people find their purpose at a very tender age of 8, 9. Purpose of their life, like Tendulkar did. Lot of, great people do. Some people find a purpose, like Picasso found, Hussein found after they crossed 70. It's never late. Opportunity will be there. Find your purpose of existence, what you really love, and then like doing it, and then pursue that. Does not matter that you have studied something else. That knowledge is going to only help you in really figuring out what you want to do. So figure out what you want to do, combine that with the strengths which you have, and then move ahead. And people want something new all the time. So if people want people to play a role in their life, and then if you can't play a role in somebody else's life, you can't grow beyond yourself. Even as a parent also, you have to impact your children, and children will respect you. Otherwise they will abandon and go. So is your wife. Correct. So is true with society. So it's true with everyone.
That should be a separate podcast conversation altogether. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, purpose. You need to find a purpose. For you. So what is the purpose which you are serving in an organization? What is the purpose you are serving in people's life? in old days, there is profit in mining. Let me go to mining and invest money in mining. Today, people don't see profit. What is the human problem? And then how can I solve that problem? They find a purpose. So it is solving a problem to the world, correct? So that purpose you need to find. If you find that purpose, nothing like it. Second best is put your interest and put your skills together and then try and then do something.
Lovely. Thank you so much for being generous with your time, Pops. Sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you. Lovely talking to you.
Likewise.
I must mention this was one of the longest podcast conversations I've conducted so far. But I learned so much from this journey. Right from how he made some early career choices in line with his passion, while being pragmatic about commercials, his retreat to Goa where he had 3 lucrative job offers in front of him, how he transitioned from the world of advertising to the world of technology and reinvented himself to stay relevant, his take on creativity and craftsmanship, and more. Hope you found the conversation as purposeful as I did. Just a quick note on how the content is organized in the website. At playtopotential.com, you could access each of the journeys and either listen to the full conversation or a particular nugget. If you want to access specific themes around leadership or transitions, you could visit the curated playlist section at the website. To give you a flavor, topics include women leadership, resilience, reinventing yourself, and so on. If you find the podcast purposeful, do take a moment and leave a review on iTunes. I would really value that. I look forward to having you at one of the subsequent conversations at the Play to Potential podcast. Bye now.